Welcome to Xhibition, an Xbox podcast, episode number 67. My name is Samuel Adams, and on today's show, we are talking about the infinite delays and disappointments that come with Halo Infinite, Activision Blizzard's acquisition by Microsoft goes under fire, and Cursed to Golf is a very interesting game that you should have your eye on. Chuhai Labs sent me over a code, and I finally have some impressions to share with you all today. Of course, we have plenty of other topics to discuss, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. 343 announced more negative news for Halo Infinite fans this week because Season 3 of the game has been delayed all the way until March of 2023. That's not a good look. And in fact, 3 days later, as I currently record this podcast, at the time of recording, hashtag Fire343 is trending on Twitter, if that helps set the tone for how the community has reacted to these announcements. Now, if you want to see the entire rundown, there is roughly about a 30-minute developer update that is up right now on the official Halo YouTube channel. I gave it a look, and it definitely paints a brighter picture for 2023, but we can't look past these delays. We can't look past the lack of content since the game launched last November, really last October, when you're looking at that beta kind of time frame that we had. So the blog post over on Halo Waypoint reads, Joseph Staten, Sean Barron, and Brian Gerard sat down for a roundtable discussion about the current state of the game, priorities, and player experience goals. Also covered is the upcoming Winter Update Season 3 and other features, such as the Forge Beta and Campaign Network Co-op, which you can check out in the video below. But ultimately, everything is wrapped up in a very well-designed graphic, ironically, showcasing what is coming in a new Winter Update and what's coming in Season 3 when it launches on March the 7th. So to break it down, starting on November the 8th, Forge Beta is going to be dropped into the game alongside Campaign Network Co-op and Mission Replay. Then there is also going to be a free 30-tier Battle Pass to bridge that gap between November and March, and then 2 new maps are going to be available, Detachment and Argyle. Now, to be clear, these maps have been designed and developed using the Forge tools themselves, so technically, they are 343 developed maps, but more so they are just examples of what can be done with the new Forge tools since they're being added to the game. In terms of the Winter Update Battle Pass, this free 30-tier experience, it is being implemented to test out the new Match XP Earn changes, which are going to be coming to the game on November the 8th as well. If you aren't familiar with that part of the conversation, whenever the game launched, one of the first things that people noticed, one of the first issues that was called out, is that no matter how well you do in a game, at the very start of Halo Infinite's life cycle, no one was awarded any XP regardless of their completion of a match, regardless of mode. All XP earn was based purely on challenges themselves, and weekly challenges at that. So quickly, they implemented a change that enacted this kind of per-match XP system where the first match of the day gets you 300 XP, and then it kind of trickles down from there until every match gives you 50 XP, so at least you still have a continual grind to go after, albeit not based on your performance. Now, starting on November the 8th, depending on how well you perform in the game, your XP will reflect that. If you go on a huge rampage and you kill 37 Spartans in your match, you will get XP that reflects that. They have also owned up to this and said that it's probably not going to be perfect from the very beginning, which is why they did not feel comfortable charging money for a battle pass that may or may not have the correct XP allocated to it as you progress through the system. So, this is more of a free trial, if you will, of the Match XP system, and then I would expect it to be kind of ironed out by the time Season 3 launches in March. There are also going to be 2 special events, one of which is Winter Contingency 2, the other of which comes in January with Joint Fire. Of course, both of those come with their own event passes, and throughout this time you will also see quality of life improvements, I also forgot to mention there's going to be a new game mode, which is Covert One Flag. So that's the winter update launching on November the 8th. Overall, I would consider this to be Season 2.5. That's the way that I'm processing it personally, because we do have 2 new maps, and based on the development video that showcases some of this map design, they look solid. They look like good maps. They are designed with the Forge tools, which isn't really meant to demean them. It's just something that's a little bit different than what we've seen before. But Forge has created some of not only the best maps in Halo history, but also some of the best modes and experiences. Storytelling, of course, is a big thing with Forge. It's great, and it's bringing 7,000 elements into the game for players to make their own experiences and design their own levels, design their own Halo Infinite worlds. That is something that is very, very cool. And in beta, we're already seeing these creations go viral on Twitter, which is great to see. But I would be remiss to say that only 2 maps getting added wasn't a disappointment. So that's Season 2.5 in a nutshell. Then we look to Season 3, which launches on March the 7th and runs through June 27th, and this is Echoes Within. During the development update video, I'm trying to look and see who said it. Sean Barron, I believe, was the person that made this statement, and that is that Echoes Within is what players should consider to be the start of a new Halo Infinite, the start of these potentially 3-month seasons. That is what they are shooting for here. I want to reiterate that's what they're shooting for, okay? I want to very much so drive that home. So, Echoes Within Season 3 launches March the 7th and includes 2 new maps, Arena and Big Team Battle. These are yet to be named, but we did get a quick look during the development update video. One is built into the side of a mountain. The other is a very snowy mountaintop kind of map. Very interested to see what those end up being called, number 1, but number 2, getting the full walkthrough of them. Then we also get the new weapon, the M392 Bandit, which is effectively the Reach DMR without a scope attached to it, just to kind of set the tone for what the experience is going to be with that. Then we will also get the new equipment, which is the Shroud screen. We've seen some leaks of this one on Twitter in the recent weeks. It's kind of like Valorant in a way, where you can shoot this little thing and this big smoke screen pops up and you can't see through it if you are looking from the inside out, or you can't see into it from the outside looking in, and all gunfire is hidden from the radar. So you are completely invisible through and through. Of course, people can still shoot through it. Bullets are not impacted whatsoever. But it's an interesting tactic that changes the game and could really revolutionize the way we see some of these hallway situations in Halo Infinite, which excites me. Of course, you also get the new 100-tier Battle Pass. On top of that, the custom game browser is coming with Season 3. In-game reporting directly in the game is going to be implemented. VIP and escalation game modes are getting added to the game. A new Fracture event is coming. New narrative event is coming. Forge beta updates and quality of life improvements. And again, that runs from March the 7th to June the 27th during Halo Infinite Season 3 Echoes Within. That's the general update for what's coming for Halo Infinite over the course of the next, I would say, let's see, it is September now, so you're looking at the next 9 months, if my math is correct on that. Let's back it up a lot. There is no getting around the fact that the post-launch content updates for Halo Infinite have, number 1, been few and far between, and number 2, been lacking in content. That's just what it is at face value. And anybody who is still protecting 343 through and through and defending them, you really need to take a step back and look at the situation, because as much as I love Halo 4, Halo 5 kind of a flop, but as much as I love Halo 4 and Halo Infinite, you can't say that 343 has handled this franchise well. That's just what it is. People have been discussing this throughout the week. 343 has had their hands on Halo as an entity for about 10 years at this point. You can't say, looking back on it, that they have handled that in the best way that they could have. I also want to qualify that and say, I love Halo Infinite. I do. I love it through and through. I play it continually on a weekly basis. Now, I didn't play this week because the ultimate reward was a canteen you strap on your thigh. That's not my kind of thing. But I still love the game, and when more and more content gets added to it, I will continue to play. I have hundreds of hours in the game, and I love it through and through. But I love it to the point that I have to acknowledge the fact that it's not in the place that it needs to be. Halo Infinite needs more maps, Halo Infinite needs more guns, Halo Infinite needs more modes. We need additional content that keeps people wanting to come back to the game, and even then, people could say that the game could have been better. Personally, I'm happy with the state of the game in terms of how it feels, how it runs, how it plays, but in terms of content, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed in the fact that 343 is dragging their feet on updates. I'm disappointed in the fact that the season has been delayed once again. I'm disappointed in the fact that you get down to the basics of it, and this is a free-to-play live service game that will, at the time of the launch of Season 3, had one gun added to it in the course of 15 months since the game launched. Actually, 16 months at that point since the game launched. One additional gun. 4 maps, 2 of which have been added in a Forge mode, which the community could have made. It's just not adding up to me. We know about Priority Zero. We know about the health and the happiness and the satisfaction of the team. Those are all very important things. But we've got to be reasonable here. There isn't enough content. Come on. It's very frustrating because I think 343 can do it. I know that they have it in them to make Halo Infinite great. I know they have it in them to make a great Halo game, and they have with Halo Infinite. But the fact that these content drops continue to get pushed out, the fact that we just continue to have this trickle of content, it's like we are thirsting in the desert and we find 3 raindrops coming at us every 6 months. I'll take them, but come on. Now, one part of this situation that I also left out is the Campaign Network co-op situation. Campaign Network co-op is the only way you're going to play co-op now, because although they promised that local split-screen co-op would be added to the game, and there was an entire article a couple of years ago about how Halo 5 not having split-screen co-op at launch was a misstep, and they would never let that happen again. Even though that article came out, Halo Infinite's split-screen co-op has been canceled entirely. They are no longer developing that feature on the game. A lot of people are upset about this. I'm not one of them because this is not something that impacts me personally. I have never played a split-screen Halo game. Primarily, I'm a single-player guy in general, but I also acknowledge the fact that that's not how a lot of people play. A lot of people enjoy the couch co-op experience. A lot of families enjoy the couch co-op experience. And so while this was likely one of the best moves to make in terms of cutting corners and in terms of getting content out the door and reallocating resources, it's still disappointing to see that another promise that was made from 343 is being broken once again. That is the biggest takeaway from Halo Infinite since the day that it launched, is that continually we have these broken promises. After the game has been delayed for a year, we still have broken promises of this is when this is coming. Oh, sorry, can't make that deadline. Campaign split screen co-op. Oh, man, sorry. Not going to be able to do that one either. It's just not adding up for me. So, 343, if anybody out there from the team is watching this, I believe you can do it. I want you to do it. The community, as riled up as they are and as upset as they may seem, the best way to turn that conversation around is to absolutely nail it from Season 3 on. Just absolutely crush it and make it the best Halo game you possibly can. Set that cadence for regular updates. Get those maps out the door. Add new guns to the game. Keep people coming back to Halo. Pull a Master Chief collection. And make it one of the best Halo experiences out there, because I know that it can be. Hardcore fans in the Halo community have said time and time again, Halo Infinite is the perfect blend of modern gameplay and classic Halo. I adore the game. It's strategic. I love the gunplay. Everything about it is great. The netcode could be better, but I love Halo Infinite, and I want it to be the game that it can be. You just have to get it to the finish line, and you can't get to the finish line if you keep pushing it back. Microsoft is set to close on a $69 billion deal, bringing Activision Blizzard into the Xbox Game Studios family. But this week, the Competition and Markets Authority in the UK said, "We've been investigating Microsoft's anticipated $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard and have discovered that the deal could substantially lessen competition in gaming consoles, multi-game subscription services, and cloud gaming services." Microsoft is one of the biggest players in the gaming industry. Together with Sony and Nintendo, they have led the games consoles market for the past 20 years with limited competition from new rivals. Activision Blizzard develops and publishes some of the world's best-selling and most recognizable gaming franchises, including Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. We are concerned that if the deal goes ahead, it could harm rivals, including recent and future entrants into the gaming industry, by refusing or hindering access to Activision Blizzard games. Microsoft and Activision Blizzard now have 5 days to make proposals to address our concerns. If any proposals are not sufficient, we'll explore this deal in more depth to reach a decision that works for UK gamers and businesses. In response, there is a blog post up from Phil Spencer posted on September the 1st titled "Gaming for Everyone Everywhere: Our View on the Activision Blizzard Acquisition." Now, there is a lot to break down here, but a couple of big nuggets stand out. Let's go ahead and read through. In the second paragraph, Phil says, "While we love consoles, we recognize that they are not the only way that people play games. Today, the largest and fastest growing segment of gaming is mobile platforms. To reach the billions of players where they are, no matter what device they are playing on, we need to embrace choice. Giving players choice in how they play their games makes gaming more accessible and leads to larger, more vibrant communities of players. Choice is equally important to developers. Developers benefit from having a diversity of distribution and business models for their games. Choice unlocks opportunities for innovation and enables the industry to grow. We are expanding choice in 2 ways: through the creation of Game Pass, which gives players a subscription option, and by bringing more games to mobile platforms, including through our cloud game streaming technology. Subscription services like Game Pass make gaming more affordable and help players from all over the world find their next favorite game. Game Pass empowers developers to bring more games to more players, not fewer. We intend to make Activision Blizzard's much-loved library of games, including Overwatch, Diablo, and Call of Duty, available in Game Pass, and to grow those gaming communities. By delivering even more value to players, we hope to continue growing Game Pass, extending its appeal to mobile phones and any connected device." Let's stop there for a moment. First and foremost, Overwatch, Diablo, and Call of Duty all coming to Game Pass. That is confirmed to be in the works. So, it's nice to hear that come directly from Phil Spencer himself. To back up, the heavy focus on Game Pass, not the heavily focus on Game Pass, but the heavy focus on Game Pass is the emphasis of this entire situation. It is the future of where Xbox is heading, because Game Pass is available on consoles, on PC, in the cloud, on any device that has an internet connection that is currently supported, with more and more on the way, including built directly into televisions, which Phil Spencer also calls out here in this blog post, like smart TVs and laptops being listed as some of the devices. That is what they're going to hang their hat on. And it's a good place to hang the hat, because you suffice the needs of the console gamers, you prove to this regulator that you are able to bring more games to more people by bringing Call of Duty into the cloud and letting it be played on iPads, on Android phones, on smart TVs. This is a set of devices that PlayStation players already have. And that's something that I continue to see brought up online. People are talking about exclusivity. It is not on PlayStation, but that doesn't make it exclusive. That's not what exclusivity is. If they said, we are buying Activision Blizzard games and everything they have is only going to be available on an Xbox console, that's exclusivity. I'm not for that. But you have other choices. You have Xbox, you have PC, you have cloud gaming, you can play there. So that is the approach they are taking. When it comes to Call of Duty being available on PlayStation, Phil says, "In doing so, we will pursue a principled path. We have heard that this deal might take franchises like Call of Duty away from the places where people currently play them. That's why, as we have said before, we are committed to making the same version of Call of Duty available on PlayStation on the same day the game launches elsewhere. We will continue to enable people to play with each other across platforms and across devices. We know players benefit from this approach because we've done it with Minecraft, which continues to be available on multiple platforms and has expanded to even more since Mojang joined Microsoft in 2014. As we extend our gaming storefront across new devices and platforms, we will make sure that we do so in a manner that protects the ability of developers to choose how to distribute their games." So, Call of Duty remaining on PlayStation, we've had this conversation before. I want to also bring up another point. It was reported earlier this week that Phil Spencer sent a letter to Jim Ryan at Sony saying that Call of Duty would be available on PlayStation for several more years. So if anyone is going into this thinking that it's going to be an indefinite Call of Duty remaining on PlayStation situation. That seems to not be the case. Phil Spencer wraps up this entire blog by writing, quote, "We will continue to engage with regulators with a spirit of transparency and openness as they review this acquisition. We respect and welcome the hard questions that are being asked. The gaming industry today is robust and dynamic. Industry leaders, including Tencent and Sony, continue to expand their deep and extensive libraries of games, as well as other entertainment brands and franchises, which are enjoyed by players everywhere. We believe that a thorough review will show that the combination of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard will benefit the industry and players. For all the players and game developers out there, you remain at the center of everything we do, and we will continue to listen to your feedback and do everything we can to nurture this industry we all love." End quote. This specific paragraph, this ending to this blog, shows that while this is something that is speaking to the fans, to Xbox players, this is also something that is written directly to regulators in kind of this public town hall kind of way, where they are going to continue to cooperate, and they are going to continue to show that Activision Blizzard's acquisition by Microsoft is not something that has any kind of ill intention behind it. And personally, I believe that this is going to be a net good for the industry, and especially for Activision Blizzard, to improve their culture, to improve the games they put out, to improve the cadence, which we already know. There is not going to be a Call of Duty game released next year after Modern Warfare 2, which I think slowing down that annualized franchise is a phenomenal move. I think these are all signs that point to a positive future for Activision Blizzard as a whole. But I also want to reiterate, let everybody dig into this thing. Let regulators do their due diligence. Let everybody make sure that this is on the up and up, because if you're not doing anything wrong, then you have nothing to worry about. That applies to speeding on the highway, that applies to baking a cake, that applies to doing your job at work, that applies to this acquisition. If you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. So do your digging, and if there's something wrong, let it be addressed. If there's nothing wrong, then let the deal go through. Plain and simple. A few weeks back, I was sent a review code for Cursed to Golf, and I do want to thank the team at the publisher, Thunderful Games, for sharing that with me. And this one has been developed by Chuhai Labs, and it's available now on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. And after about 12 hours with the game, I finally feel confident to give some impressions of it. And I've got to say, it's a lot tougher than you might expect. And if you are unfamiliar with the game, you play as the cursed golfer. You are sent to golf purgatory after a freak accident takes you out right before you take the winning shot for an international tournament. And now you have to make your way through golf purgatory to get back up to the human surface. Very interesting concept, I've got to say, and it kind of reminds me in a way of Golf Story that came out towards the beginning of the Switch's life cycle, so if you enjoyed that, you might enjoy this, but very much so an arcade approach with this one. In a way, it's kind of like platforming, turn-based platforming kind of, but you start off at the beginning of your level. It gives you an overview of the obstacles you've got, and you've got to take your shot, you aim, you then select your power, and then you smack your ball as far as you can or as far as you want. And so you have to hit a specific par number. So you might have 12 shots to make it into the hole before the entire course resets and you're back to the very beginning. So it is a brutal and punishing kind of experience, but it's one that certainly does keep you on your toes, because each time you have to reset, the course resets. Every time you enter a level, it resets. So things are fresh, things are new, and it is a very good time. The key here is that there are some different obstacles that might stand in your way. So some TNT boxes might be available. If you smack them, then it blows up and you have a new route to get closer to the hole. Alternatively, you might want to hit a fan and it give you a immediate slingshot all the way to the end of the course. So there are specific ways you can kind of leverage the way that you play to change things up and maybe save yourself a couple of shots. Of course, if you are running low on the amount of shots you have left, you can also hit these little floating orbs and boom, or I'm sorry, they're trophies actually, now that I think about it. You hit these little trophies and boom, you get some par shots added back to your total count. So there is some strategy involved here. Of course, there is the complete replayability time and time again. If you enjoy the gameplay loop, you can continue to go back and play through multiple times. So there's plenty of value here. And for $20, I think it's a fantastic deal in and of itself. Now, again, I was provided a free code, so take that for what you will. But I think this one is a great after-work relaxation game. That's the way that I see it. You can take your time, you can plan your shots, you can have a really great time with it, or you can fly through some courses kind of haphazardly. And I also enjoy the fact that there are these boss battle kind of moments where, for instance, with the legendary caddy, you have to go head to head in this kind of golf tournament in a way to see who can make it to the end as soon as possible. I think it's great. And I really enjoy my time with Curse to Golf. I plan on playing plenty more in the weeks ahead. But again, thank you to the team at Thunderful Games for sending that over. And if you have not had the chance to check it out, dive in, check out a trailer, read some reviews. It could be right up your alley, and you could want to tee up and take a swing yourself. To wrap up today's show, Xbox is heading back to Tokyo Game Show 2022, at least in the digital sense. This news comes from Jeremy Hinton, head of Xbox Asia, who writes, "We are pleased to confirm that Xbox will be making its digital return to Tokyo Game Show on September the 15th at 6 p.m. JST, 2 a.m. PDT. That is 2 a.m. Pacific Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, with a streamed broadcast celebrating the vibrant players and visionary creators across the region. Like years past, this will be a show curated for our players in Japan and Asia. We invite fans to tune in to the Tokyo Game Show 2022 Xbox stream, where you can expect to see updates on existing titles from Xbox Game Studios and titles launching from developer partners that we hope will delight players here in Japan, across Asia, and around the world. The Xbox stream will be available on Tokyo Game Show's official YouTube channel, Xbox YouTube channels in Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand, and on Bilibili in China. While Tokyo Game Show 2022 will open its gates to the public for the first time in 3 years this September, the hybrid nature will allow players from around the world to also enjoy the latest in video games, technology, and games culture in Japan. With the theme of Nothing Stops Gaming, Tokyo Game Show 2022 will embody the solidarity of gamers and the promising future that lies ahead for our industry. Gaming has always provided an an important way to connect, but especially over the past few years. It has a transformative power to bring joy and foster community, and it's at TGS where we can all enjoy the spirit of games together. So again, you can tune into the Xbox stream on September the 15th at 2 a.m. Pacific time to learn more about the announcements they are making. We will see what they have in store. My gut feeling says probably a light update, but of course, some very exciting moves that Xbox is making over in the Asian part of the world. I think that's a very exciting thing that Xbox is promoting, is that they are not just a Western company anymore. They are not just an American company. They are becoming an international brand even more so than they were before, and they're winning over some fantastic mind share in these other regions around the world that have primarily leaned towards Nintendo and PlayStation. Now, are they still dwarfed by the major competitors? Absolutely. Are they still dwarfed in the mobile sense? Absolutely. But the compact nature and affordability of the Xbox Series S is making it a much more enticing entry into the gaming world. And on top of that, cloud gaming is bringing mobile to more and more people. So that creates a new opportunity where if somebody's using mass transit, boom, you are ready to go playing your games that you were just playing on your Xbox Series S back at home. So I think that Xbox is making some big moves, and we will see if that continues to be prevalent in these regions. But the Tokyo Game Show 2022, again, is kicking off in just a few weeks, so stay tuned. And of course, you can keep it tuned right here to Xhibition, where we will talk more about the biggest announcements from the show. That rounds out this week's episode of Xhibition, an Xbox podcast. If you're new here and you enjoy the show, you like what you see or what you hear, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, add the show to your podcast feed of choice, and get it delivered right to you each and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And again, thank you so much for the support recently on YouTube Shorts, on TikTok, on this show itself. We've been hitting some phenomenal numbers as of late, and I really appreciate all of the love and support. 4,200 on YouTube, 2,500 on TikTok. Big year on the channel, and I thank you for it. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you soon, and keep on playing.